Hey tankers, and welcome to the gameplay end of our review of the Charlemagne. That's the Tier 8 British Premium Heavy Tank that is available exclusively through the Ranked Items store. Hopefully you're catching this video on my Wix article. My Wix article, I carry out a more detailed technical overview of the vehicle, a lot more detail on how you can acquire this tank through participation in the ranked battles mode. There's also another gameplay review that I've done. This one is in a Tier 8 and 7 matchup where the armor layout of Charlemagne does enable it to dominate against a lot of the enemies it comes up against. But we do have another one that shows that Charlemagne is well and truly able to hold its own fighting at Tier 9 as well. So please also check that out in the link below. In this case, it's the 8 and 7 matchup on the streets of Ruinberg. With 10 degrees of gun depression, decent turret armor, decent upper frontal plate armor, it'd be irresponsible of us not to start playing from this particular position and try to take advantage of the hull down ability of Charlemagne. It does play a little bit differently to a lot of other British heavy tanks at tier. It has a 119mm .38 main armament, which it sounds like an oddly specific number. I suspect that's been done for balancing reasons, so it's not going to be able to overmatch 40mm plate. But from this position, we are able to play to the strengths of the tank. So using its strong turret, using its 10 degrees of gun depression, and being in an elevated position, you also have the ability to start shooting down on enemy turrets, shooting down on enemy plates. That can cause sloped armor to sort of normalize, so it's got a lot less effective thickness. And of course, you just have better access to a lot of the weak spots like turret roofs and cupolas that you may stand a better chance at penetrating. Particularly in the case of this Carnarvon as it sort of pokes around. We were trying to go for a side shot on its turret while it was still sort of coming around, but unfortunately had fluffed that shot. Accuracy is not the strong suit of this gun. It's got 0.42 meters per 100 meters of dispersion, which is pretty well on par with a lot of the 122mm Soviet guns at tier. So that's something that I guess you need to learn to work with this vehicle. Another thing that's probably a little difficult to tell at this range, but I'll mention it now so that you might have a chance of noticing it later. It has an insanely slow muzzle velocity at 594 meters per second. Now, to give you an idea, that's probably at the middle to upper range of what most SPGs at this tier are capable of. So, although it's difficult to tell at these ranges, at longer ranges, the shell just tends to just sail through the air, and it does make does complicate the viability of long-range shots, particularly when you're also dealing with that that terrible base dispersion. Having said that, the gun handles quite well. It's dynamic dispersion, i.e. that dispersion that's caused by moving the hull, moving the turret, turning the turret. It is actually kept to a minimum. So this is sort of one of those tanks that, you know, a lot of people, if in doubt, they'll reach for the vertical stabilizers. Don't do this. Don't do that in this tank, because it won't help you anywhere near as much. So we've been able to use our not terrible mobility to sort of move forward and shut down the Carnarvon. We get 35 kilometers per hour forward speed, which is sort of on par with the Object 252U Defender, and that can be boosted another 4 kilometers per hour by strapping a turbocharger on, which I'm pretty sure I have in this case. And that certainly gives you the ability to reach your preferred fighting position nice and early. Now, what that is going to be entirely dependent on circumstance. Normally, you might want to chase a hull down position, as we did in the church on this battle. Although on a more open map, you might decide to decide to press a medium line and go and bully some medium tanks, and you'd certainly do that if you had confidence in your armor layout against what enemy vehicles were going to throw at you. So while we have the the very slow shell velocity of the standard AP rounds and the high explosive rounds, the premium rounds tend to poke some holes in the enemy a lot faster, and quite effectively as well. You get 270 millimeters of penetration on the premium rounds, which is even better than the premium round on the Defender, which I think it tops out at 265 millimeters. It also makes the muzzle velocity somewhat civilized, so it'll spit a shell out at close to 1,000 meters per second, which is what most people would find comfortable. You can see we've eaten a couple of shells on the way in there. The 130 millimeters of upper frontal plate armor does have a tendency to normalize once you start getting in close to enemy vehicles. So if an enemy vehicle is in a position where it's able to just angle the gun down and shoot down, well, obviously 130 millimeters doing that might be 230 millimeters thick, but then as a gun is normalizing and shooting down on it like so, well, then you're really going to start losing effective armor. And we can see that here with the VK-16801P that's been able to put a fairly meaty hit into us, but its weak spots, particularly the lower frontal plate, have been quite exposed to us there, so we've been able to take the advantage. So this vehicle available in the ranked items store. To access the ranked items store, you basically need to complete Division 2 of ranked. You need to reach Division 2 of ranked battles. So that means you have to complete the 20 qualifier battles and then make your way through Division 3. So that's not necessarily going to be for everybody, but I guess Charlemagne and a number of other tanks such as Kampfpanzer 50T, Skoda T45, and now Concept 1B, which was previously the Ranked Battles Reward tank. They are available to anyone that can complete Division 3 of Ranked, and then once you do that, the Ranked Item Store opens up, and then you can exchange bonds for these tanks. So the sticker price on Charlemagne is 15,000 bonds. Now, if that sounds a bit steep, which look, I think it is, you can actually discount that by completing missions in the ranked mode of battles. So it's sort of things like in a 10 versus 10 situation, if you place within the top 7, I think, and you do that fairly consistently, you'll start earning yourself progress in the missions that give you a bigger and bigger discount on the bond cost of these vehicles. So so that's certainly one way to make that sticker price a little bit less offensive. In fact, I think for Charlemagne, you should be able to get that down to around 10,000 bonds, unless I'm mistaken. So things are looking up for us. We were able to spot some of those enemy tank destroyers that were previously had some success in the town. Just leaving 2 of them left. So now this is down to, well, are we going to try and keep our advantage on the cap circle, or are we going to try and dig out tank destroyers? That's always going to be a difficult choice. Tank destroyers, by their nature, they tend to hit very hard, and they tend to have better view range than some of us. And I suppose looking at the hit point position, our IS-3 is not in good condition. Charlemagne is certainly not in good condition, although VK-100P could possibly be a little braver. But in this case, we've got the town, we've got the advantage. So in this particular instance, we'll work on continuing to cap it out while our Scorpion and T-25-2 are prowling around looking for the last enemy. I think that's a Sturmil. Pretty sure that's a Sturmil. That interestingly hasn't been seen at all this battle. But no matter, that's a victory to us. Let's take a quick look at the results. So for our efforts this game, we've been able to pick up an Ace Mastery badge. We didn't manage any Epic or Battle Heroes medals, but we got a few of these other badges of merit. We've got Duelist, for example, where we destroyed at least 2 vehicles that had caused damage to us. We've got the Fighter medal for accounting for 4 enemy vehicles in that battle, and of course Fire for effect for doing at least hit points and damage, which we came away with nearly 3,500 hit points of damage. We bounced a fair bit along the way as well, so got to be happy with that. Looking at the team scores, we were able to manage a top placement by experience, closely followed by ZX10232 in the Rheinmetall Scorpion. Special mention to the Stura Mill on the enemy team, who was placed top on the team by experience, took 4 kills and was also bottom tiered as well. Having a look at the detailed report, because I guess that's always important to consider when you're looking at premium tanks. For our efforts there, we've managed to net about 80,000 credits. I'm not counting what's come in as the battle payments sort of personal reserve here, yeah, a good game is going to yield you a decent amount of credits. Note, we didn't fire a hell of a lot of premium shells that battle, so that's probably helping our economic yield there as well. So that's Charlemagne in a tier 7 and 8 setting. I do have another review here of the Charlemagne in a tier 8 and 9 setting as well. So let's not write off a tank just because it happens to bully lower tiers. So if you'd like to catch that one, we'll see you there. Take care.